percent overall from the field, but he was also 50% from threes. He's 5 of 10.
I know you're out there. It's okay. Stand back there.
No, more than likely you're gonna get that number 1 seed, and so I want Houston to be ranked at number 1 and 8.
So, welcome into another episode of Let's Rage Coogs, presented by the Saxenian Family. My name is Andy Yanez, and we're coming off the heels of the American Athletic Conference Championship tournament game. But most importantly, the field is set. The Houston Cougars are going to be the number 1 seed in the Midwest region. They're the number 2 seed overall in the NCAA tournament. They're going to be in the same bracket as Texas. That's the biggest thing, the biggest name that sticks out, but obviously Xavier to Indiana, and arguably what could be a bit of a tricky matchup, the 8 and 9 seed, a potential second round matchup when it comes to Auburn. But of course, all eyes now turn to Northern Kentucky, who Houston will play in on Thursday. Joining me as always, Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review and Dayon Dunlap. How are you two doing? And let's jump right into it. What are you guys' initial reactions from the bracket unveiled here on Selection Sunday?
Clearly, well, not, I mean, yeah, I guess obviously the committee members who emphasized metrics won out over the committee members who emphasized the number of quad 1 wins, because Houston got the number 1 seed, the second overall number 1, and Kansas did not. So good for that. Houston is in the Kansas City region for the Midwest. Northern Kentucky is a first-round opponent. Northern Kentucky beat Cincinnati earlier in the season by 13 points. So Houston has some really direct ties to contact Coach Miller and the Bearcats about that opponent, get some video, more info on them, get some insight on them. So that could be a benefit for Houston on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think the results are as I expected. Like, I wasn't really paying much attention to all the mock tournament. I don't know how the proper term to use, but I really wasn't paying attention to those. And so I'm excited. Just looking at the field, looking at the route that Houston has to take, definitely is it going to be easy. I think it's a game-to-game matchup that Houston is going to have to take advantage of. And so I'm excited.
When it comes to Houston and specifically heading into the NCAA tournament, Kris, you were there when the team learned of what seed they were going to be in, what region they were going to be in. The thing that stood out to me was head coach Kelvin Sampson making sure that he told his players, take out your phones, make sure that you capture this moment, because at the end of the day, every year there's only 4 number 1 seeds, and Houston this season is fortunate enough to be one of those 4 top seeds.
And I mean, picky, but Coach initially said, take out your cameras, showing his age generation. And the Lawrence said, take out your phones. But, hey, it's a special deal. And I want to get a comment from Joe Mendez on the screen, because it is so true. Number 1 in the Midwest and number 2 overall seed. Who would have thought 9 years ago that this would be happening? And that's the truth. 9 years ago, this program was in the dumps. You know, before Coach Sampson took over, the building was old and dilapidated. The administration wasn't doing their part. Fan apathy had set in. And look at the program now. 31-3 and the second overall number 1 seed. Salute to Coach Kelvin Sampson and his staff.
Kris, Dayon, whenever you look at the overall brackets, I'm going to pull onto the screen the big bracket, which it's going to be hard to zoom in on, but that's the overall bracket. I want to focus in on the Midwest region specifically first, because like I mentioned, Houston's the number 1 overall seed. They're going to be facing the 16th seed Northern Kentucky on Thursday. The winner between Houston and Northern Kentucky will play Iowa and Auburn on the fall. Is going to be Thursday, so that'll be on Saturday. I believe that's when the second round game will be. Right. And like I said, that'll take place in Birmingham, Alabama. Kris, again, the first thing that Coach Kelvin Sampson said when the region popped up is Birmingham or Auburn in Birmingham. Those were the first words out of his mouth. So we'll focus in on that too. But then looking across, 5-seeded Miami will take on the 12-seed Drake. Number 4 Indiana will take on Kent State, who again, that's another team that the Houston Cougars have personal experience with, and that could be a very interesting matchup between Kent State and Indiana. 6-seed Iowa State will be taking on the winner of Mississippi State and Pitt, while the 3-seeded Xavier will take on Kennesaw State, the 14-seed Kennesaw State, and in the same region with Texas A&M, the 7th-seed, who will take on Penn State in the first round, and of course, like I mentioned, the 2-seeded Texas Longhorns taking on Colgate as the 15th seed. A lot of Texas teams in the region. What overall stood out to you about the Midwest?
I'm reading these comments from fans. Boy, y'all are something else, man. But I was surprised Texas A&M got a 7 seed. I thought they would get a seed better than that, but the non-conference, I guess, clearly was an issue. Strength of schedule for the Aggies. They were the second best team all season in the SEC, but only a 7 seed in this region. But it sets up a possible A&M Texas matchup in the second round, which would be fun for those two programs. And the hatred between them is long and storied. But the Cougs, have to beat Northern Kentucky. And as Coach Sampson said, when a colleague asked him about, the elephant in the room about Final Four being in Houston, Coach Sampson stopped him before the question got finished being asked. Northern Kentucky is who we're focused on, period. Northern Kentucky is our opponent, and then you worry about everything else after that. Auburn, Iowa will be, it's an 8-9 matchup, so it should be competitive, should be fun, entertaining. Auburn, their guards are up and down and have issues. But hey, first things first, Cougs beat Northern Kentucky on Thursday, then go from there.
Yeah, I got to take care of business with Northern Kentucky. Hopefully Marcus is ready. I think I saw the clip. He said he should be 100%. And so he's definitely needed, and it really stuck out today how much he's really needed with his team. And so definitely got to take care of business against Northern Kentucky. And if they do that, whoever the winner out of Iowa and Auburn, it's going to be a tough matchup. I like the matchup with either one. Auburn does have some tough guards who settle for a lot of threes, but they're a tough, gritty group, and they played some tough, stiff competition, and they've beaten some good competition and lost some. And so it's tough. I think Miami is a really good team with really good guards and experience. Also in the region, Xavier is a team that I've seen play a few times this year who has some really good guards and is good in the region. And of course, Texas has some really good quality guards. They have some really good momentum, and they're one of the oldest teams in the NCAA this year. And so that experience, I think, will help them. And so it's a lot of good matchups. Texas A&M, a good, tough, gritty team who focuses on toughness and so it's going to be all about matchups. I don't know which team is going to make it out, so you take it one game at a time to see.
Absolutely. Real quickly, I'll take a quick break. I'd like to remind everybody that's watching live that they are listening in or watching to Let's Rage Coogs, presented by the Saxenian Family here on the Houston Round Ball Review YouTube channel. Of course, we also like to say thank you to our other partners, beginning with BB's, the home of Tex Orleans cooking. BB's Tex Orleans is a Cajun and New Orleans themed restaurant with a unique Texas twist with multiple locations across the Houston area. Be sure to stop by BB's or visit them online at bbstexorleans.com to not only check out where exactly those locations are, but also their menu and other services such as catering and other ways you can get involved with BB's. And again, we thank BB's for being a sponsor on today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs. And of course, we also want to say a big thank you to Star Pizza. They are Houston's best pizza since 1976 with 3 different locations around the Houston area. Be sure to make Star Pizza your next stop when you're in the mood for pizza, because we know pizza always comes in handy. Be sure to visit them online at starpizza.net, where you can check out their menu as well as order online, so you can just pick up and take the meal on the go. Segueing, do like to play. This is the moment when the Houston Cougars learned that they were going to be the 1 seed in the Midwest region.
Let's begin the review. Here are the tournament brackets from the NCAA and its corporate champion Capital One. We begin in the South region where the
that was the wrong clip. That was when they learned that Alabama was going to be the number 1 seed. We're trying to go as we go. But kind of wrapping it up from the NCAA tournament talk, I'll kind of focusing on Memphis and look ahead as I try to get the right video pulled up. But what are kind of your initial reactions of the bracket overall? Obviously, Alabama's the number one overall seed. They're going to be in the South. I've heard a lot of people say that they have an easy path to the Final Four, but I also have a lot of people thinking that they have a bit of a rough stretch as well. And obviously, with Houston being the number 2 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, that means that they got the edge over Kansas. Like you said, Kris, selection committee valued the members that valued the metrics and the net rankings. They had Houston number 1 out over potentially the number of quad 1 wins that Kansas did have. What are anything that might have stood out of not just outside or not just in the Midwest region, but outside of it as too?
Andy, I haven't seen the rest of the bracket. We're doing post game with the players and the coaches, so I don't know. I had to ask the AAC coordinator where Memphis was picked, selected. So I heard they were going AC to the East to face possibly Purdue in second round. Great matchup for Memphis. Excellent matchup for them. Guard play, KD was outstanding this whole weekend here in Fort Worth. John J. Williams had a rolling as well this weekend, so they can give Zach Edey problems. They double down on him and make those young guards from Purdue beat them. So that's a great matchup for Memphis, assuming Memphis wins in their first round matchup. So beyond that, I'm focused on the Cougs in Northern Kentucky. I'm kind of locked in with Kelvin Sampson. I want to talk about some of these comments from the fans, UH fans, Tremont Mark, Dayon, Andy. Last Sunday, Tremont Mark played great, right? Against Memphis, right?
Yep.
Last week. Now he's a problem. I mean, folks, calm down. They did not play well today, okay? As a group, they had a chance. They got it within 5. Parents had a shot, 3-point shot, rim in and out. Could have cut it to 2. DeAndre came down and hit a 3, pushed back to 8. The Memphis pulled away from there. People, my goodness. The Cougs played anti-Houston Cougar basketball in the first half. They looked just out of sorts, lifeless, listless. They were not aggressive. They weren't active. Memphis was the aggressor. KD was the aggressor. Kendrick played great. But come on, folks. The Cougs made a run. Second half, Memphis started missing shots. The Cougs got rebounds. The Cougs made their run. That's what good teams do. What did y'all expect today? Give me a break. The Houston Cougars are the second overall number 1 seed. They're 31-3. As Coach Sampson said, they beat everybody in the conference twice, except Temple. Think about that. Boy, okay, y'all got it.
Yeah, just looking at the overall bracket, I definitely don't think Bama has an easy road. I think Baylor is a team who can get to an Elite 8 or even a Final 4. They're really good in their region. I also have seen Missouri. They're a really good sneaky team that can make shots. They play really fast tempo. Kobe Brown's a really good player who for them has a ton of experience. Then in the East region, I think that's probably one of the toughest regions. I do like Memphis's matchup with FAU, and I think they match well with Purdue, especially with Dandridge. I think he can really guard Josh Edey one-on-one, and they won't have to double. Well, they could double and force their guards to make shots. And so if they get past their first round matchup, I like where they're headed. As well, I was kind of surprised that Duke is a 8 seed. 5th seed, excuse me. I think they would have been a higher seed with the way that they closed the season. So that's kind of surprising, but they're in a tough matchup as well. It wasn't a tough region. Kansas State's in that region. USC with Boogie Ellis. He's really good. Marquette, the way they play there. So it's a really good tournament. It's a really good matchup. So I don't think no one has an easy path just looking at some of the matchups. And it really depends on who wins. So you never know how it could turn out.
Yeah, because an upset could change matchups, and an upset could make it more favorable in the second round. There are a lot of good teams this year who have a chance to win the championship. This should be a fun tournament. I'm looking forward to it.
I think the biggest thing that stands out, again, we kind of were mentioning who would basically win out for being the top seed overall in terms of Kansas and Houston. Houston won that battle. They're heading to the Midwest. Kansas, they ended up being the 1 seed in the West region, and they have a tough draw with UCLA being the 2 seed in that same region, which obviously we know that the Sweet 16 Elite 8 matchups in that region will be in Las Vegas, where UCLA just played a game on Saturday night in terms for the Pac-12 championship. and they are very familiar with playing in Vegas.
And Texas, I'm just looking forward to all of this. It's fun that we can talk about this. Andy and I are here in the arena doing live post game, so we're squeezing it in before we head back to H Town, and then the Cougs will be back this evening, and we'll talk to the media on Monday. So the NC tournament is here. Texas Southern, another Houston area team, is in the tournament for the third straight year. Salute to them. I'm looking forward to the competition because that's what it's all about. Competition. May the best team win. 6 wins, you cut down the nets, and our champions.
Now, real quickly, I have the correct clip. So here is when the Houston Cougars learned that they were going to be the #1 seed in the Midwest region.
Kansas City.
So once again, that was the moment that the Houston Cougars learned that they were going to be the #1 overall seed. Kris, they're kind of pushing us out real quickly here from the game, which again it's live. We're trying to figure out to go on the go. But one thing that we haven't touched on in this show is the American Athletic Conference game, championship game in it itself. Obviously, the big storyline was that Marcus Sasser did not play, and I mean, like you mentioned, Kris, something that Calvin Sampson said post-game, he was proud of his team because they were able to cut it to 5 at one point, and they were one shot away from being able to get it to 2. The shot just didn't fall, but it showed a lot of fight despite the really brutal first half that they had, especially from a defensive perspective where it seemed like Memphis was really hurting Houston in a lot of different ways.
They looked out of sorts. They once again resorted to the 3-2 zone, but you saw Terrence also got a lot of minutes today. He made the most of them. Yeah, he was hesitant on the shot a little bit too much, and Jamal and Juwan talked about that after, in post game. Emmanuel Sharp playing defense too much with his hands rather than his feet. Can't do that against Kendrick Davis. Kendrick got him a couple times, put Emmanuel on his butt. So defensively in that first half was just not Houston Cougar defense. They got better and more active in the second half, and the game became competitive. There you go.
Yeah, all credit to Kendrick Davis, Coach Penny, and the entire Memphis team. I think they played well. They came out and they attacked. Kendrick Davis was spectacular. I mean, you got to give credit to where his due. He was spectacular. He was a dog today. And he controlled the game just like he did in the last matchup with Houston. And so you give credit to where it's due. I think just from a Houston perspective, I really love the way Terrence started. And especially what that tells me, in my opinion, from what I've seen from him, is he has that it factor. I mean, the stage wasn't too big for him. He came out, he was aggressive early. And then as the game went on, he was kind of hesitant. But I just seen the overall of the upside. You could see it is there. And so I liked what I saw from him overall, because that was his first time experiencing that role. And so overall, I like what I saw from him. I think Tremont just didn't make some of the shots he normally make. Him and Jarris both missed some shots that they normally make and can make. And so Tremont, I think, could have had a better game. I expected a bigger game from him. I'm not going to lie and say that, because I'm one of his hugest fans. I know what he's capable of. And so not disappointed. I just expected a little more. But overall, I mean, I give Memphis their credit. They came out and punched Houston in the mouth first, and primarily with just their ability to score. I think they just came out, had a good game plan, and knew Houston was adjusting early with not having Marcus on the floor. And so they did a good job of coming out and getting a good lead. But good fight back from Jamal, the leader. He got going in the second half. J1 was a beast. He really was a beast today. And so with that toughness, I mean, I'm not really disappointed, or I'm not surprised with the outcome of the game, because Memphis is that talented, and Kendrick Davis is that good, and Coach Penny is as good of a coach and has a good culture in place. And so just going forward, I think it's a learning lesson that Coach Sampson always says, they're not losses, they're lessons. And so I think it's a lesson that they'll take moving forward, and it'll benefit Houston.
And kudos to Juan Roberts, because just 2 days ago, ECU's freshman set the training record for 19 rebounds. Well, it's now Juan Roberts' record with 20 rebounds, 10 offensive and 10 defensive. He was just stellar on the glass. So salute to him. So it was just great to see him have a quote-unquote bounce-back game, because he said, Friday's game was not one of his best. Saturday and Sunday, he played much better, more aggressive. It was good to see him do that. So this guy is not falling, folks. Okay, could they have played better? Could they have made more shots? Sure. Memphis had something to do with that as well. Okay, Memphis had some issues with Houston defense in the second half. This is two good teams. Let's not act like Houston lost to Team X that is just a bunch of trash. Okay, Memphis is a good team. They have a good program. That program is building, and they have a chance to be the now or soon to be bell cow in the American Athletic Conference going forward, for as long as they're in the conference, that is.
Yeah, another thing that stuck out to me in this game is Houston has to do a better job of adjusting to the way the game is being called. You can't get in foul trouble, and you can't put good free throw shooting teams at the foul line, especially in the tournament, to allow them to get those points and not have them to have to earn those points going against your set defense.
And you can't complain to the refs. Stop crying. Coach Sampson said, yelled a few times to some of the players. Quit crying. Get back on defense. Cougars don't cry. That's not who the Cougars. That's not part of the Cougar culture. They did that too much today. Move on to the next play.
I want to hold it right there real quickly. I would like to thank everybody for watching live on the Houston Raw Ball Review YouTube channel, where they may be listening to the audio-only version. Whenever you may be listening, this is Let's Rage Coogs presented by the Saxenian Family. Of course, we want to say a big thanks to the Saxenian Family for being the primary sponsor of LRC for the entire men's basketball season and for the length of the NCAA tournament run, however many games that may be, which hopefully culminates in an April 3rd post-game show, which, that would mean Chris to be able to get all the way to that championship game. It'd be huge as well. But of course, we also like to say thank you to our other partners, beginning with BB's Tex Orleans Cookins. We have a big thank you for them, the home of Tex Orleans Cooking. BB's Tex Orleans is a Cajun New Orleans steam restaurant with a unique Texas twist. Be sure to visit them online at bbstexorleans.com, where not only you can check out where their multiple locations across the Houston area are, but also their online menu, and you can even learn about their catering options when it comes to planning your next event. Once again, that's bbstexorleans.com, and we thank them for being a sponsor of Let's Rage Coogs. And of course, we also want to say thank you to Star Pizza, who is the other sponsor of today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs, with multiple locations across the Houston area. Star Pizza is Houston's best pizza since 1976. And of course, be sure to visit them online at starpizza.net, where you can check out their online menu and of course order online so it can be ready to pick up on the go. Real quickly, I want to send it over to Marcus Sasser and what he had to say following Houston's loss to Memphis in the conference championship game.
Hopefully, what needs to happen between now and Thursday to get you back on the court?
Just a lot of good treatment. Get back on the court. I haven't really did nothing but a lot of treatment so far. So really just get back to the 100%.
Are you experiencing any other pain right now? Are you through all that?
It's, a little pain here and there. Certain movements, groins are kind of tricky. So just I played it safe today, but just trying to play my cards right so I can be 100% for the tournament.
Marcus, as far as being concerned going into this week, do you feel like you've already made progress in one day?
Yeah, definitely.
Trending right, at least? Yeah.
Yesterday, it was hard for me to walk, woke up today, kind of felt better. I was able to walk and things like that. And, I was able to jog, warmed up today too. So, it's definitely making progress.
How tough was that to watch today?
Real tough. I really wanted to be out there, especially because who we was playing against the championship game last year. So, missing that, it's hard, but we got, another tournament coming up.
Marcus, as you're watching the NCAA Selection Show, you came back for this. I mean, this is getting a number one seed. Mm-hmm. Coach said only 4 teams get that. So what are you feeling heading into the tournament?
Just gotta I feel like we earned it. You know, we got a good team. And really, it's tournament time. You know, anything can happen. This is what we really prepare for. You know, all season, March Madness. So it's here now. You just got to go out there and play like it's your last game, because it might be.
So where do you think this team is now, heading into the tournament with playing for all the marbles?
Yeah, we're in a good spot. You know, a good position. Everybody got their head right. You know, we know that the tournament not easy. Every game gonna be hard. So really, just got to go in there with the right focus every game.
You knew it was coming, but does it still mean something to see that you sit up there as the number one seed? You know, the publicity you guys are getting, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's not like they said. It's only 4 of them, so you know it's not easy being picked the number one seed. So we're in a good position, I feel like.
What's your biggest message to the guys that haven't been in the spot, the freshmen? Got a lot of playing time this weekend. What do you say to those guys leading up to an NCAA tournament appearance?
You can't take no plays off. Every possession matters. Don't look at the team name. You know, they don't mean nothing. All these teams good. You know, the tournament is serious.
Marcus, I'm sorry if you've been asked this already, but what have the last 24 hours been like for you in terms of your status and your health?
Just a bunch of rehabbing, a bunch of massages and things like that. Just trying to get back right 100%. I went out there to warm up today. It was a little pain, but really just trying to do everything to get back right.
Have you dealt with this kind of groin injury before? Has it ever anything like this?
This is my first time having it in my groin.
Can you even imagine what Northern Kentucky's thinking, trying to take on a team like you guys for in this situation?
I'm sure it's probably I don't want to be bragging or nothing, but I'm sure it's gonna be tough. They probably looking at our culture, looking at what we do good, but we gotta do the same thing. We gotta go look at them, see what their strengths are, and try to make a game plan to go out there and win the game.
Mark, could you have played for the start of the tournament, or would you like to have some extra time if you can get it?
I'll probably say I should be 100%, by Thursday.
So once again, those were comments from Houston Cougars senior guard Marcus Sasser. That last bite right there is probably one that you circle if you could. Obviously, it's not a video. If you could circle it, he feels like he'll be ready to go on Thursday, but obviously a lot to touch on in regards to seeding. But Sasser's health obviously the top priority for Houston heading into Thursday and potentially beyond.
I doubt he's 100% Thursday. And if John Houston has any doubt, he won't play Thursday. He may not be needed Thursday. Coach Sampson said post-game, he talked to John Houston. Marcus wasn't playing today. Coach Sampson said that. Marcus was not playing today. He warmed up, all those other things. Marcus was not playing today, period.
Yeah, I'm going to take him for his word. If he say he'll be 100% by Thursday, I'm going to believe him. But I know players say that just so they can't get on the floor. So you take it with a grain of salt. But I think if it was a tournament game today, he could have played. From the sounds of it, he wouldn't have been 100%. But hey, I believe in manifestation. I believe it's power in the spoken word, and I'm hopefully he is 100% by Thursday. But more important than that, his future is definitely more important than this tournament. So hopefully he gets healthy overall for his sake and his career's sake. But man, like him, I'm excited. I'm not looking at any seeding. Every team is in the tournament for a reason. And it's because they're good. And so every game is going to be a tough one. So I expect a good matchup against Northern Kentucky.
So looking ahead at Northern Kentucky as we start to wrap things up here on Let's Rage Cougs, they ended up winning the Horizon League Championship. That's how they got the automatic bid to get into the NCAA tournament. And kind of coincidentally enough, the last time the Houston Cougars opened with a Horizon League champion in the NCAA tournament, they ended up going all the way to the NCAA Final Four back in 2021. That team was Cleveland State, who Northern Kentucky beat to get to the NCAA tournament. They narrowly defeated Cleveland State 63-61 back on March 7th, which was just this past Tuesday. Kelvin Sampson said that he was watching that game and he made a mental note of Northern Kentucky. He said they're a really good team and they stood out to him just watching them what are the chances he was watching that game on that given specific chance, and now he's preparing for them to play in the first round. And obviously the other thing that Kelvin Sampson said is now it's a new season. That's what Jamal Shedd said, but Sampson said At this point, any team in the NCAA tournament can beat anybody. You can't overlook anyone. And Kris, like you alluded to, when one person was going to ask about potentially looking ahead, Kelvin cut it immediately.
Yeah, it's now a one-game season for everybody. You win, you go home. Deion said it perfectly. The teams in the tournament are here for a reason. If Houston does not shoot well, if Houston does not play to their culture, they could lose Thursday. If Northern Kentucky gets hot from three of those things to help the chances to win the ball game. It's Thursday is the game. Win and move on, but Thursday is the matchup. North Kentucky is first on the list.
Win in advance. All the moments up until this point has prepared you for this point. So I think everyone is settled in their role. I think the stages are going to be too big for anyone. I'm expecting. Well, all I will say, legends are born in March. And so if you want to have a legendary, I don't want to say career, you want to be remembered as a legend, it's time to make your mark now, make your stamp now. And I think we got the players to do so. We have multiple players who can have big games and iconic moments that can stamp their legacy.
Final point I wanted to close out on. It'll be determined on how much, if Marcus Sasser is 100% ready to go when it comes to that first round game. But that's going to be a tough turnaround from Sunday evening afternoon to Thursday whenever they play. The time is yet to be set for the matchup. But one player that stepped up big against Memphis was Terrence Arsenault. He got the start in place with Marcus Sasser. He made some big plays, especially when it came to rebounding and hitting shots early in the first half. But then there was also some moments where you could call them freshman moments, and specifically it was towards the second half where I think he had a three in the corner, and I'm not sure if he would have shot it and made it, it would have cut it to within 4 or 3, and he hesitated when he shot it, and I believe he ended up airballing the shot. Yes. So he had some freshman mistakes too, but he did make some plays.
He was aggressive on the boards, but second half especially, you could almost see him thinking about it. Just a second or two thinking about it. Should I shoot it now? Should I shoot it? And Coach Sampson was almost pleading, Terrence, shoot the ball. Terrence, shoot the ball. Juwan, tell him, shoot the ball. Jamal, shoot the ball. So he's got to just don't hesitate. Just let it go. Because one of the things that Coach Sampson and we all know to follow the team, if you shoot the ball, there's a good chance they're going to get the rebound if you miss. So shoot the ball. Don't worry about it. Just shoot it.
Yeah, man, I love what I saw from Terrence, especially to start the game. Those moments that we're calling freshman moments, they're just learning moments. It's his first time experiencing a starting lineup and in the role that he experienced today. And I love what I saw from him, man. You see the upside, and he has that it factor, that it gene. I seen it, in my opinion, from when I look forward when I watch basketball. He got it. I think he can develop into a Kawhi Leonard type of player. You look at Kawhi Leonard when he was at San Diego State, type of player he was, and how he developed all the way up to where he is now. I think Terrence has that potential.
One interesting stat I do want to point out, Houston had 22 offensive rebounds, only 17 second chance points, which is something that doesn't happen often, something that Kelvin Sampson pointed out in the game. But Dayon, I'm going to toss it over to you first. Where can people find you? And any final takeaways of Houston's loss to Memphis and looking ahead at the NCAA tournament?
Find me on all social medias, like it's shown on the screen below, at Dayon Dunlap. I think the loss today was a learning lesson. A lot of players realize at any given moments what the team will need from them in case Marcus gets in foul trouble, Jamal, however the game may play out. I think it's a learning lesson. I'm not surprised at all, but I think this team is still destined and still has the capability of going on a huge run. You got the best coach in the country, and so I'm excited for what's to come. I think the front court showed up and they realized how important they are. And when J1 is a beast like he was today, it's going to be great for Houston going forward here in this tournament.
And you can follow me on Twitter at VHR Review, website HoustonRoundBallReview.com, Instagram Houston Roundball Review, YouTube as we're watching here on the YouTube channel of Houston Roundball Review. I'm looking forward to the tournament. Looking forward to the Cougs hopefully getting a late tip-off start on Thursday. But if this is the first tip-off, so be it. Salute to Memphis for winning today. They won the AAC championship. Good luck to them in the tournament. The Cougs are now focusing on what they have to do and what they can control. And first opponent is North Kentucky on Thursday.
And people can follow me on Twitter at @Yanez_5. Once again, the final score from inside of Dickies Arena. The Houston Cougars fall to Memphis 75-65 in the American Athletic Conference Championship game. But now looking ahead, it's all about the NCAA tournament where the Houston Cougars will play Northern Kentucky on Thursday. We're not sure yet of the time, like Kris said, but what Calvin said is that they'll be ready regardless of when that game tips off. Until then, we'll be back on Thursday, whether it be Thursday afternoon, evening, or night, for everything that happens between Houston and Northern Kentucky. Until then, we thank every single one of you guys for watching. And, of course, a special thanks to the Saxenian family, to Star Pizza, and to BB's, the home of Tex Ordnance Cooking. Dayon, as always, you get the final word.
Go Cougs. Let's dance, baby.